Good evening and welcome to the Monday, December 20th, 2021 special meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education. In accordance with the state Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on December 16th, 2021 to the Hillsborough Beacon and the Courier News. Ms. Rodriguez, may we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mr. Kidd?
Here.
Mr. Marini?
Here.
Ms. Maroon?
Here.
Ms. Nurse?
Here.
Mr. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Here.
Ms. Stats?
Here.
Mr. Hiu?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. And next, I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd next like to take a motion and a second for the resolution that I will read as follows. Whereas the board advertised for a special meeting for December 20th, 2021 and specified that no action would be taken. And whereas since the time the notice was published, the board has become aware of matters not known at the time of publication and has determined that these matters are of such urgency and importance that a delay for the purpose of providing adequate notice would be likely to result in substantial harm to the public interest. And whereas the board has updated its notice to specify that action will be taken at this meeting. Now therefore be it resolved that the board, having found that the basis for conducting an emergency meeting within the ambit of NJSA 10:4-9B have been met, hereby determines to convert this meeting to an emergency meeting, limited to discussion and action with respect to those matters of urgency and importance. Be it further resolved that the board shall comply with the notice requirements set forth in NJSA 10:4-9B3. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Marini. Thank you, Ms. Maroon. Any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Rodriguez, if we get a roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mr. Kidd?
Yes.
Mr. Marini?
Yes.
Ms. Maroon?
Yes.
Ms. Nurse?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Stats?
Yes.
Mr. Hiu?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Next, I will modify the order of the agenda slightly to take comments from the public now on items on the agenda or on any topic before the board votes on. We will actually vote next on the items 5 of the human resources resignation. Is there any comment from the public? Seeing none, and actually at this special meeting or this emergency meeting, we will only have one public comment section. Okay, seeing none, then I will now close public comments, and I will now take a motion to actually turn it over to the superintendent for the human resources agenda.
Thank you. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the human resources agenda as follows. 5.1, resignation.
Thank you, Dr. Antunes. Is there any, motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Stats. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Rodriguez, if we get a roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Gillette?
No.
Mr. Kidd?
Yes.
Mr. Marini?
Yes.
Ms. Maroon?
Yes.
Ms. Nurse?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
No.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Abstain.
Ms. Stats?
Yes.
Mr. Hiu?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Next, I'd like to take a motion to go into executive session, and I will read the notice. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975 provides that a public body may exclude the public from that portion of a meeting of which the public body discusses certain matters for which confidentiality is required as permitted in Section 7B of the Act. Resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Hillsborough and the County of Somerset and State of New Jersey as follows. 1, the matter to be discussed is central office administrative staff. 2, the matter discussed in executive session shall be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Marini.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Gillette opposes. Any other opposition? Any abstentions? Okay, so we will, I guess we will go into executive session and we will come back out at the end of executive session. Thank you very much. Is that- Going into executive session, and we will come back out after executive session. Thank you very much. Good evening. We are now back from executive session. Mr. Lapira, if we could have a roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mr. Kidd?
Here.
Mr. Marini?
Here.
Ms. Maroon?
Here.
Ms. Nurse?
Here.
Mr. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Here.
Ms. Stats?
Here.
Mr. Trujillo?
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Lapira. Next, I would like to have a first and a second on a motion to place an employee whose name is on file on administrative leave. May I have a first and a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Marini. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Lapira, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mr. Kidd?
Yes.
Mr. Marini?
Yes.
Ms. Maroon?
Abstain.
Ms. Nurse?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Stats?
Yes.
Ms. Trujillo?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Lapira.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Oliver. Thank you, Ms. Nurse. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much, and we are adjourned.